What if I told you that in a global ranking of the world's greatest empires, a waving modern United States flag is competing on the exact same leaderboard as a bronze gladiator's helmet and an ancient stone step pyramid?
I mean, it sounds like a glitch in a time travel movie, honestly.
Right, but that is exactly what you're looking at when you unroll this incredibly vibrant, highly illustrated geographic graphic we have sitting on the table between us today.
Yeah, the one boldly titled Top Empires in the Seven Continents.
Exactly. And it doesn't just map out borders, it takes the entire world, chops it up continent by continent, and ranks these top-tier empires using a completely wild mix of modern nation-state names and, like, hyper-specific ancient architectural symbols.
It's a really stunning piece of visual information because when you first glance at it, your brain just processes it as a colorful poster.
Just a fun infographic.
Right. But as you look closer at the specific choices the designer made, you realize it's making some massive, sweeping statements about how human psychology actually processes history.
And that is our mission today. We are going to figure out exactly how this single visual document manages to categorize the entire globe for you.
We're exploring the cognitive mechanisms behind those specific choices. Like, why do our brains so willingly accept a centuries-old artifact as a stand-in for a 21st century geopolitical border?
Yeah, we're going to take you on a journey through this map's internal logic, which, spoiler alert, gets increasingly bizarre the further down the globe we travel. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the traditional heavyweights.
Ah, the old world. So Asia, Europe, and Africa. Basically the regions that instinctively come to mind when anyone hears the word antiquity.
Right. Let's look at how the graphic handles Asia first. So the text ranks the top 3 empires as 1, China, 2, India, and 3, Iran. But the visual accompanying this ranking isn't, a modern skyline like Shanghai, and isn't a modern national flag. It's this beautifully drawn, traditional, multi-tiered red pagoda-style temple.
And then sliding over to Europe, the text rankings are 1, Italy, 2, United Kingdom, and 3, France.
And the visual here is super striking. It's a massive, classic, plumed bronze helmet.
Exactly the kind of armor a Roman centurion would wear into battle.
Yes, sitting right next to a royal, jewel-encrusted gold crown.
And if we drop down to Africa, the ranking gives us 1, Egypt, 2, Mali, and 3, Ethiopia. And the artwork for this list is just an absolute classic.
Oh, totally. We have the Great Sphinx sitting near a towering, golden-hued stone pyramid. And it's all framed by these lush palm trees.
It's very evocative.
It is.
Yeah.
But when I sit back and look at these 3 continents together, the best way I can describe this to you is that it feels like looking at an all-star sports roster.
Okay, walk me through that. What do you mean?
Well, think about it. The players on the roster, like the actual text printed on the page, are modern contemporary nations, right?
Yeah.
China,
Yeah.
Italy, France, Mali.
Right.
But their team logos, the visual identifiers, are these ancient artifacts.
Yeah.
So I look at Europe and I see the name's Italy, but the graphic hands me a bronze warrior helmet.
And that creates a bit of a disconnect for you.
Yeah, I really struggle with that. By slapping a Roman helmet on modern Italy, or a pharaoh's pyramid on modern Egypt, isn't the graphic giving modern nations, like, unearned credit for ancient achievements?
Oh, I see.
Feels a little bit like historical stolen valor, honestly. Like, look at us, but they didn't build that.
Well, what's fascinating here is how this graphic completely condenses time. I mean, it isn't trying to be an accurate chronological timeline at all.
So what is it trying to be?
It's illustrating the psychological shorthand we all use. It basically flattens thousands of years of really complex human history into a single cohesive layer.
Right.
By using the names of contemporary geopolitical nations but representing them with a gladiator helmet or a traditional pagoda, the graphic suggests that the concept of an empire isn't locked to one specific dead era.
So you're saying the map treats power as something that doesn't just expire.
Precisely. It presents empire as a continuous, unbroken thread. The power and influence of the ancient builders of the Sphinx or the Roman legions marching across Europe are being drawn forward through time.
Like a direct connection to modern-day France or the UK or China.
Exactly. It implies a lineage of power.
But is that how history actually works?
Yeah.
Or is that just how our brains prefer to organize it? Because, there are literal centuries of collapse, reinvention, and completely shifting borders between the people who wore those bronze helmets and the modern Italian government.
Oh, it is absolutely how our brains prefer to organize it. We don't usually remember history as a strict chronological spreadsheet. We remember it as a collage of really powerful imagery.
That makes sense.
Like a jewel-encrusted crown instantly communicates the idea of the British or French empires far faster than reading a textbook about their economic expansions.
So the map maker is bypassing the analytical part of your brain entirely.
Right, they're tapping directly into your symbolic associations. The red pagoda communicates deep cultural endurance. The plumed helmet communicates martial conquest.
Wow, that makes the graphic a mirror for collective memory. It sets a very specific visual rule for you as the viewer, basically saying, in this world, empires are defined by their grandest historical artifacts.
Exactly, that's the established baseline.
Right, like if you built a giant pyramid or forged a terrifying helmet centuries ago, your name stays on the leaderboard today. At least that's what I thought the rule was.
Ah.
Because if Europe and Africa's representations rely on the architecture and armor of the deep past, the graphic takes a completely different psychological approach when we cross the Atlantic. Here's where it gets really interesting.
The Americas.
The Americas. Because if the old world mixed ancient monuments with modern names in a sort of elegant, cohesive way, the new world takes that visual collision and turns the dial all the way up to 11.
It really does. It becomes almost jarring.
Let's paint the picture for you. So in North America, the text rankings are 1, Mexico, 2, United States, 3, Canada. And the imagery is this massive, ancient stone step pyramid, the kind you instantly associate with the Maya or the Aztecs.
A magnificent symbol of pre-Columbian monumental architecture.
Exactly. But sitting directly next to it, virtually overlapping the ancient stone even, is a waving United States flag. A perfectly modern, brightly colored stars and stripes textile.
And then you look down at South America, ranked 1, Peru, 2, Brazil, 3, Colombia, and we see another grand stone step pyramid, this one set against a lush, vibrant green jungle landscape.
Okay, I have to push back hard on this visual logic.
Go for it. What's the friction for you?
We just spent 3 continents establishing that this map defines an empire through ancient relics. A bronze helmet, a pagoda. Well, we accepted that historical shorthand, right?
Right.
But in North America, we literally have a modern US flag flying right next to an ancient stone temple. Doesn't this completely shatter the definition of what this graphic considers an empire?
How so?
It's combining an active, kinetic, modern symbol with a static, ancient one. It feels like they broke their own rule.
I mean, it does create an immediate cognitive dissonance. But rather than breaking its own rules, I'd argue it is synthesizing the visual data to reflect reality.
Reflect reality by mixing eras.
Yeah, it expands the rule book. In the Americas, the graphic explicitly places indigenous monumental architecture on equal footing with modern nation-state symbolism.
By forcing them to share the exact same visual space.
Yes. Think about the texture of what you're actually looking at. The stone pyramid implies immense historical weight. It's permanent, it's rooted in the earth, but it also clearly represents a civilization from the past.
All the flag is active.
Exactly. The flag is waving in the wind. It implies kinetic, present-day energy. By putting them side by side, it implies that the definition of a top empire is highly flexible depending on the hemisphere.
So it's acknowledging 2 completely different metrics of dominance.
Right. An empire can be a society that engineered massive stone complexes in the jungle centuries ago, establishing deep indigenous roots. Or an empire can be a contemporary superpower defined by global cultural and geopolitical dominance, which is represented by a flag. The graphic forces the viewer to acknowledge the ancient empires of Mexico and Peru alongside the modern empire of the United States.
It's as if the graphic simply couldn't choose between the deep past and the modern present for North America. So it refused to compromise. It just handed us both and said, figure it out.
Pretty much.
But I love what you said about the cognitive dissonance. Because when you look at it, you can't help but stare at the sheer antiquity of the gray stone clashing with the bright red, white, and blue. It tells an incredibly complex story of time, succession, and power without using a single paragraph of text.
And it asks a really profound question of you, the listener. When you think of the concept of an empire today, do your thoughts drift to the monuments left behind by ancestors?
Or do they drift to the political symbols printed on passports and flown on government buildings?
Exactly. The Americas portion of this map demands that you hold both of those definitions in your mind simultaneously.
Okay, so we've established that empires, in this graphics universe, can mean anything from an ancient pyramid-building society to a modern flag-waving superpower.
We have our rulers, our gladiators, our temples, and our flags.
We do. We've traveled across 5 continents now, and the map has managed to maintain a focus on dominance, power, and hierarchy. But now, we have to guide you to the final 2 frontiers, the edges of the map.
The best part.
It really is. This is where the graphic looks at its own carefully constructed rulebook, tears it to pieces, and just throws it entirely out the window.
The transition into Oceania and Antarctica.
Let's start with Oceania, the vast expanse of blue of the Pacific. So the graphic ranks it. 1, Australia, 2, New Zealand, and 3, Fiji. But it's the visual here that tells the real story.
No flags, no ruins.
Right. We don't see a modern flag, and we don't see an ancient ruin. We see a wooden European-style sailing ship, a classic galleon with its white sails completely billowing with wind. And it is sailing right through the water near a cluster of islands that are guarded by giant, intricately carved wooden tiki faces.
It is incredibly evocative, especially compared to the static architecture we saw in the Old World.
That's exactly it. It's an action shot.
Yeah.
You have the galleon, which immediately triggers the historical memory of European naval exploration.
You think of British navigation, mapping the Pacific, that whole era of empires crossing oceans.
Yes. And standing directly in its path, you have the tiki faces, representing the deep, enduring indigenous Polynesian cultures that span those waters long before any European ship ever arrived.
It is the entire historical tension of Oceania captured in 2 overlapping images.
Yeah.
Notice the dynamic mechanism of the art, too. Like, in Europe, the helmet and crown just sit there. In the Americas, the pyramid and the flag sit side by side.
But in Oceania, the galleon is actively moving toward the tiki figures. It's literally a snapshot of first contact.
It feels like a moment frozen in time.
It really does.
Exactly. It captures the very second where 2 entirely different concepts of empire, the maritime explorer and the indigenous inhabitant, are intersecting. It shows that geography isn't just about static borders, it's about the collision of peoples.
The graphic visually represents the exact moment the history of that continent changed forever.
It's a brilliant way to visually summarize a continent's history.
It is. But absolutely nothing prepares you for the bottom of the map. After all this tension, all this conquest, all these helmets and warships, we finally arrive at Antarctica, the frozen, isolated continent.
The ultimate frontier.
And there are no rankings here. No numbers 1, 2, or 3. No modern nations claiming dominance. Instead, stretching across the ice is a crisp, bright blue banner that proudly declares, no empires, just scientists.
I love that part.
And the artwork. It's a cheerful penguin standing on the ice looking perfectly content right next to a cluster of dome-shaped igloos.
It is a massive tonal whiplash from everything we've just looked at.
It really is. And I just have to point out the absolute absurdity of the geography here for a second because it perfectly highlights how this map works.
Oh, the igloos.
Yes. If you're listening, you probably know that igloos are traditionally associated with the Arctic up in the northern hemisphere, built by indigenous Inuit cultures. They have absolutely nothing to do with Antarctica in the southern hemisphere.
Nothing at all.
But the graphic drops them in anyway. Why? Because the map maker is prioritizing vibes over facts. They needed a universal, instant visual shorthand for a freezing, icy habitat, and the igloo delivers that instantly to the viewer's brain. Geographical accuracy be damned.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the factual inaccuracy of the igloo is secondary to the profound shift in the graphics' underlying logic.
How so?
Think about the psychological journey the viewer has been on. For 6 continents, we've been conditioned to measure human success by a very specific, aggressive metric.
Right, who built the biggest pyramid, who wore the heaviest armor, who sailed the biggest ship.
Exactly. It's all been about ranking nations. It's been symbolized by crowns of royalty and flags of nation states. It's basically a metric of territorial dominance.
Yeah.
But at the literal bottom of the world, the graphic presents an entirely new metric for human achievement. By declaring no empires, just scientists, the graphic is elevating collaboration over conquest. It is prioritizing the pursuit of shared knowledge over the accumulation of territory.
Just scientists. It completely redefines what a human presence on a continent can look like.
It serves as the ultimate counterpoint to the plumed helmets and the galleons we analyzed earlier. It suggests that perhaps the ultimate evolution of human society isn't to conquer a landscape and build an empire, but simply to study it, to understand it, and to exist within it peacefully.
The scientists and the penguins are sharing the ice. No one is trying to plant a flag on the penguin.
Exactly. It strips away all the ego of the previous 6 continents.
And doing it with a cartoon penguin is such a brilliant disarming tactic. You spend the whole map looking at these heavy, intimidating monuments of human power, and then the map just kind of winks at you at the very end.
It brings you back down to Earth, or down to the ice, I suppose.
It shows the flexibility of visual communication. It can convey the weight of a millennia-old civilization, and it can convey the lighthearted, collaborative spirit of modern scientific research, all using the exact same basic illustrative style.
So true.
So to bring this entire journey together for you listening, we've explored how a single infographic uses the mechanics of human memory to compress time and space.
We started by looking at how the sweeping pagodas of Asia and the sun-baked Sphinx of Africa act as psychological shorthand for the unbroken lineage of ancient power.
Then we unpacked the jarring cognitive dissonance of the Americas, where static ancient stone step pyramids are forced to share a stage with the kinetic modern waving flags.
We felt the historical tension in Oceania as the galleons sailed toward the tiki faces.
And we finally abandoned the concept of conquest altogether among the geographically inaccurate igloos and the scientists of Antarctica.
It is a remarkable synthesis of geography, history, and human psychology. It proves that maps are rarely just about showing us where things are. They're about showing us how we value those places.
We use these symbols to make sense of an overwhelmingly complicated world.
Right, distilling centuries of triumph and collapse into icons we can instantly recognize.
So what does this all mean? We've spent this deep dive breaking down how one specific artist or designer chose to categorize the globe and its history.
We've seen their biases, their shortcuts, and their brilliant juxtapositions.
But exploring a map like this leaves us with something much more personal to consider about our own place in time.
It really does. And I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
We've seen how this graphic uses highly curated visual shorthand. A bronze helmet, a stars and stripes flag, a sailing ship, a pagoda to represent the vast, complex empires of human history. If you were handed a pen right now and tasked with creating a single visual icon to represent the empire or the society that you live in today, what single image would you choose?
Wow.
Would it be a monumental structure from your deep ancestral past? Would it be a digital symbol of your present? Or would it be something entirely new?
How do you summarize your own history in one image? That is a fantastic question to carry with you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We loved unpacking the psychology and the symbols of this map with you. So we'll catch you next time.